Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today on John's Briefs with Tim Forshee, defense attorney extraordinaire. I want to talk about the issue of disparity of force. We recently had a video on the channel that was an absolute warrior of a woman who fought this guy and whooped his butt, who literally admitted to the cops later that he intended to sexually assault her.
That's the surprising part of the case.
Well, good. Bury him under the jail.
Bury him.
But I want to talk about that issue of disparity of force and whether or not, she ended up fighting him. That's what she had available, and I think she's a warrior for that. But if she was armed, where does that come into play? Firearms Legal Protection is who I trust to help me after a use of force incident. If you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, you can attend our monthly Active Self-Protection training seminars for free. Check out all they offer to their members at the link below. So this is an interesting thing. I hear people all the time, well, I'm too old to run, so I'm too stubborn to take a butt whooping, so I'm just gonna, I'll shoot a fool. And we say this all the time, like, sometimes in a physical altercation, you do just have to take a whooping. You know, like there are times where it's physical. I can't escalate it to deadly, or I'm going to go to prison. But clearly, there's a disparity here that I want to talk about. And when does these disparities rise to the level that I can use deadly force to stop a physical assault?
Well, of course, that's a really great question, and it really seeks a black and white answer that doesn't exist. It's always going to be a gray answer.
It's the attorney answer.
Sorry.
Ready? It depends.
It depends. And I could say it depends upon this and that and this and that and the other. What it really depends is what the jury cares, what the jury feels about it. That's what it really depends upon. So it is literally just prognostication when I say it. Now, I will say this. The disparity of force is something that everybody should know a lot more about. It's something that I don't think a lot of self-defense instructors even really talk about it too much. So disparity of force is exactly what it says. There's a disparity in the force available to the two sides. So here we have a large male against a smaller female. As the father of 3 daughters, you better not discredit the fact that just because somebody's a female, because as you said, this lady's a warrior. I mean, she was doing some pretty dang good punches in that video that I saw. But the point is that generally speaking, and I'm sorry if this is going to get me in trouble with feminists out there, I promise I really am a feminist, but the average man is bigger and stronger than the average woman. And I know that right now we're getting into all kinds of gender politics in our country, and blah, blah, and pronouns and all that, but listen, generally speaking, a man is going to be bigger and stronger than a woman.
So a male biology has significantly more upper body strength than the female physiology. That's established
denser bone structure.
By biology, okay? So listen, a man attacking a woman has generally a size advantage. Certainly generally a strength advantage.
Right.
Although, I mean, listen, if I attack a gal like Gabby Garcia, who weighs 230 pounds and is a jiu-jitsu world champion, she's gonna whoop my butt, and she doesn't have that disparity because she's more accomplished than I am, better with her hands than I am, better with all of her defensive tools, stronger than me and bigger than me.
Sure. So the point is outliers exist, but she's in the 99.5 percentile, right?
Yeah.
So even a 150-pound man and a 150-pound woman, there's still disparity of force because of the things we've talked about: greater muscle mass, testosterone, bone density, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
higher testosterone levels is actually a thing too.
Yeah.
So I always say, and I'd love your thoughts on this. Okay, guys. So understand, I don't prep him for these. Okay, so
I wish you would.
I know he hates it.
I'm on a high wire the whole time.
Well, I mean, I just figure for us to have these discussions,
it's better. I like
is
it.
Way
I love
better
it. I love it.
Than a prep thing. We're reading a teleprompter or some trash like that. But so I always say, it seems to me in the cases I've been involved in, that a single factor of disparity is a wobbler, that a jury may or may not. But if I have 2-factor disparity, then I'm in much steadier ground that I could reasonably expect that any attack by them was going to be great bodily harm. So
the more you can pile on, the better, the more justifiable your actions will be, for sure.
So if I say, wait a minute, she's a woman and being attacked by a man, okay? I would generally argue if she's smaller than him physically, that's a factor. He has much higher testosterone level and higher bone density and all that, and strength. That's a second factor.
Right.
So your typical man attacking your typical woman, I've got 2 factors of disparity there, and so I'm probably okay.
And here it looked like to me, I mean, I wasn't able to compare them because they were kind of grappling, but it looked to me like he's probably got at least 50 pounds on him.
He's definitely
much
bigger
guy.
than she is.
And that's another disparity of force issue. So size, gender is one, size is another, age is huge, and of course, the strength of numbers. So 3 apparently unarmed people attack me, that's going to be a lot different than one person attacking me.
Yes.
So And these are the types of factors. So if 5 large men attack in their 20s, attack a 75-year-old, 100-pound woman, you couldn't ask for more disparity of force. It's going to be a pretty rare situation where she's not going to be justified in using lethal force.
Well, and again, when we talk about attacking here, we're talking about using ordinary force. One guy with a knife is a deadly threat to me.
That's
right? And I don't care how big and strong you are. Somebody carves you up with a knife, you're dead.
Absolutely.
So that's, hey, I can stop that with deadly force. We're talking about somebody who says, I'm gonna punch you in the face, buddy. Well, listen, somebody that's my size, my age, now it might change though. I know people who, they just had surgery.
Sure.
And hey, I had a neck surgery, and my doctor told me, dude, if I fall off a ladder, I'm dead.
Yeah,
and
or paralyzed.
Paralyzed. And so I knew if he punched me in the face, I was going to prison.
Right.
He was going to prison because I was going to go to the morgue.
Yeah.
And so in that case, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you know medical frailty, right?
Well, and you know that you are reasonably in fear of imminent bodily harm or death because you know that you have a particularly fragile situation. It doesn't matter if they know about it. They take the plaintiff as they find them. If I punch a hemophiliac in the face with what would normally be a, just a sort, and they hemorrhage to death, guess what? That's murder.
That's murder.
It doesn't matter. I had no idea they were a hemophiliac, and I punched them in a normal, non-fatal way. It doesn't matter. You buy the plaintiff as you find them. You buy the victim as you find them.
And listen, though, so some of that is as the victim, as the defender, you have to know. So if later after the fact, this guy's like, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face, and then you shoot him, and then you find out later that he's a kung fu master.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. Did you know he was a kung fu master? Well, no, of course I didn't. But now we know he was, and he could really hurt me. Yeah, but that doesn't enter into your mind. You have to not only
later I found out he had a sharpened screwdriver in his back pocket.
Right.
Well, he didn't wield it, so it's not part of the analysis.
Right. Or again, I found out after the fact that the guy had handcuffs in his back pocket or something, and weird like that. Okay, but I didn't know that in the moment. He hadn't told me that. I didn't have any evidence of that. Well, then it can't enter my mind that I reasonably believed that I had a threat of death or great bodily harm. So the funny part is in stuff like this, we get this kind of bright line of, well, if you had a disparity of force, if you reasonably believe that you were a threat of death or great bodily harm. So that means I've got some objective evidence that leads me to a belief that I was at risk of death or great bodily harm. Well, then I can reasonably use deadly force to stop that. But where is that line? It depends.
And one thing when I watched this video that I was struck by, and not to take anything away from the warrior spirit of this young lady, because man, I would love to meet her. But the simple fact is that she had her back to him when he got to her, right? The bad situational awareness. I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but the moment he walked in, I noticed he was wearing Crocs.
Right.
Guess
You
what?
ain't
You can't
working
do in
out in Crocs.
You're not working out in Crocs, and you also can't run in Crocs, right?
Right.
She's wearing leggings and laced up tennis shoes. She's obviously in really good shape. She had a couple of points in there where she could have easily just ran and got away from him with no problem at all. There was no way she was not going to be substantially faster than him. And yes, she's got the right to work out there, et cetera, et cetera. How can he chase her out? Well, it's better to be offended than to be dead or to be raped. So I would have much rather seen her just take off. Also, you pointed this out. She kept focusing on that phone. And I'm so glad she got away, but she kept focusing on that phone. Best case scenario, she got the 911 call to go through. They figured out where her location was, and they scrambled cops. They're people 15 minutes away.
5-10 minutes on a priority one.
The
lights
damage
and sirens.
is done, right? I mean, so the phone's great. Slip that into your back pocket, and when you get a chance, call the cops. But right now, you got to fight for your life. And the best way for her to fight for her life, in my opinion, was to run. And I just wish that. And she's probably saying that now. I'll bet she's aware of it as well. But
now, I did say in my analysis that, hey, ladies, I recommend, the Filster Enigma lets you carry in yoga pants and all those things. Carrying your firearm while you're working out is not wrong, and it can be very good. Because, of course, he has no right to touch her. I don't care what she's wearing. He ain't got no right to put his hands on her.
That whole argument just makes me steam.
Makes me mad.
Oh my gosh. She can wear whatever she wants.
Right. And then, but again, when he comes and assaults her, she pushes him off, says, get away from me, and he continues to come. She gets a little space and gets that little bench between them. Honestly, if she had drawn a firearm on him at that point, I'm like, that's okay, because he can definitely put her in the hospital. Or he's exhibiting the signs that he wants to sexually assault her.
She's alone. It's nighttime. I mean, I think, and don't forget the other thing too that sometimes we forget to mention is there's improvised weapons laying everywhere, right? All these barbells. I mean, if she can pick up a barbell with little weight or a barbell with no weight at all, that's a pretty doggone good, katana at best type of weapon.
Or an OC spray and just, hose that guy down. Super useful and super okay. So she certainly had to deal with the disparity of force. Now I'll say, attitude and skills.
Oh my gosh.
10 out of 10,
Yeah.
11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like super proud of her for that. You know, having the toolkit available to you though might prevent you from the butt whooping that she definitely went through, and all those things, and just recognize those disparities. They show up. How many factors of disparity do I have here? The more that I have, the more reasonable it will seem to those 12 jurors in panel to decide.
And of course, don't forget, you're not going to be sitting there saying, okay, am I justified in drawing my gun here because the disparity of force issues are adding up and there's at least 3 or 4, so I think I'll be... You're simply going to be saying, this guy's about to kill me.
Yeah.
I know I'm about to die because there's 4 of him. He's bigger than me. I'm older. He's younger. You're inherently, you're just going to size this up and saying, I'm about to die.
Yeah.
The way we explain that with the gift of hindsight
Later.
18 months from now is disparity of force. You're simply going to be saying, holy crap, I'm about to get killed.
Yeah.
And that's going to factor into your... So, you know, we try to get really clinical when we diagnose these things. At the moment, it's not going to be clinical.
You
no.
just won't.
But that helps us later to keep you out of trouble. That's the main thing, yeah.
So that disparity of force exists. You must recognize it, and you must be in reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm. And if you have that disparity, even if it's just fists. Now, if it's just fists and I don't have that disparity and I use deadly force, hope you like prison food and penis, because you're about to experience a bunch of it. So... dated pop culture reference, who got it? Anyhow, Tim, I really appreciate the knowledge.
Always my pleasure, buddy. Thanks.